Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martin here, and boy have I got a special Now review for you today. As you can see, we haven't just got any old CD release or even a standard vinyl release, we have a vinyl box set release. We haven't done one of these in a long time, so sit back, relax, and join me as we go through Now Presents Electronic. So those of you might remember, this isn't the first album of this kind. That was actually Now Presents the 70s, which released in December of last year. We covered that here on the Now Review. So if you want a flavour of what's to come, you can go and check that out. But let's just look at the front cover here. It's a very grey cover. I guess very metallic on the font, and I've got to say, I'm not the biggest fan of like grey metallic covers like this. I think it almost feels very bare, very devoid of a lot. There is some colour, like there's almost, I guess you call it what, like electric sound waves zipping across that are different colours. You've got these 5 bars at the bottom here, which are 5 bars as far as I'm concerned. I did wonder if they'd mimic or at least be inspired by the sort of artwork or stylings that we did get on the Now That's What I Call Electronic album we got at the start of this year, 2022. But it seems that they didn't go for that. They've gone for this whole new thing, all the letters in electronic are lowercase, which, you know, looks fine, but I wish the cover had been a bit more interesting, to be quite honest with you. But this is a 5 LP, yes, count them, 5 LP box set. I'll just show you the spine. There it is. It says Now Presents Electronic. I do like the Now Presents. I think that's the same styling as the 70s one, so that'll fit nicely on any shelf alongside it if you already have it. And just before we get to the all-important track list, you can see there on the side, you've got all the different LPs. It's actually saying LP 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All different colours of that little bar we saw, so that's, you know, a nice little bit of continuity there. I'll show you the individual records in just a moment, but as always, let's go through the all-important track list. And you can see at the top right there, my number is number 350 out of 1200. So there's only 1200 of these that are being pressed and made. So already, before we get to the usual recommendation stage, if you're already interested, I get this now. So let's see what we've got. So on LP1, we're kicking off with Queen and Radio Gaga. Then Eurythmics with Sex Crime from 1984. It's the extended mix. Okay, nice. We've got Soft Cell with Torch, the extended version. Frankie Goes to Hollywood with Relax, iconic track there. And Philip Oakey and Giorgio Moroder with Together in Electric Dreams. All right, so 5 songs on side A. Nice, we're getting some extended mixes. Nice to see that on vinyl, certainly. So side B of LP1, we have Aha with Take On Me. Again, the extended mix. The extended mix of Take On Me is really good, actually. You have Dead or Alive with You Spin Me Round Like a Record. Paul Hardcastle with 19. Love that song. The Art of Noise with Beatbox or Diversion 10. Phil Lynott with Yellow Pearl. Landscape with Einstein A Go-Go. Godley and Cream with Cry. And China Crisis with Christian. So 8 tracks there. So LP1 has 13 tracks total. You may be wondering why one side has way more than the other. Extended mixes often run anywhere from between like 5 and 10 minutes long, so it's going to take up more space, that's for sure. And it seems LP1 is the sort of hazy blue coloured rectangle, as you can see there. LP2 then, we have Laurie Anderson with Oh Superman, Kate Bush with The Dreaming, Iggy Pop with Nightclubbing, Japan with Taking Islands in Africa, and Duran Duran with The Chauffeur. I must admit, a lot of those I'm not overly familiar with. I'll be interested to hear those for sure. I guess they are electronic in what? Their composition, or they fall into that stage in the early 80s that was all about like new wave and synthesizers and stuff. So side B has Tears for Fears with Mad World, which is their original, of course. Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark with Messages. A Flock of Seagulls with Wishing, If I Had a Photograph with You, great song. Men Without Hats and The Safety Dance. Howard Jones with New Song. The Buggles and Video Killed the Radio Star. M with Pop Music. And the Thompson Twins with In the Name of Love. So that's another 13 tracks there for LP2. And they are the yellowy bar. Jumping over to LP3, side A, we have New Order with Blue Monday. I mean, what can you say about that track? Iconic, really good tune. We have Electronic with Disappointed. Followed swiftly by Liza Minnelli with Losing My Mind. And then Eighth Wonder with I'm Not Scared. Always nice seeing that trilogy. All have a hand from the Pet Shop Boys. Neil Tennant, I believe, sang with Electronic on some tracks, especially on Disappointed. They helped Liza Minnelli make that track, and they also made this song for Eighth Wonder. Oh, and a quadrilogy. We've got Dusty Springfield with Nothing Has Been Proved, which was a song from the film Scandal, and again, made to fruition by Pet Shop Boys. Shame we don't actually have some Pet Shop Boys themselves on here, but hey-ho. And we have Joe Jackson with Stepping Out. Then moving to side B, we have Gary Newman and Cars, John Fox with Underpass, The Cure with The Walk, Our Daughter's Wedding with Lawn Chairs, Talk Talk and It's My Life, good tune, Furniture with Brilliant Mind, equally good tune, Swan Sway with Soul Train, and Joy Division with Love Will Tear Us Apart. Still one of the most iconic tracks of the era. That's under the green bar, adding another 14 tracks, so we're on 40 so far. LP4, we have Sparks with the number one song in Heaven. We have Donna Summer, the Queen of Disco herself, with Working the Midnight Shift. Lip Sync with Funky Town, one of the last big hits of the disco age. Amanda Lear with Follow Me. Telex with Moscow Disco. Funny spelling. And the Human League with Hard Times. Then moving on to side B, we have Freeze with IOU, Chaka Khan with I Feel For You, Company B with Fascinated, Daz Band with Let It All Blow, Malcolm McLaren, the world's famous Supreme Team with Buffalo Gals, Rocksteady Crew with Hey You, the Rocksteady Crew. Never been a fan of that song, not gonna lie. We have Harold Faltermeyer with Axel F, from Beverly Hills Cop, and we have Jan Hammer with the Miami Vice theme. So that's another 14 tracks there. That takes us to 54, rather eclectic mix, I think, and that's under the pink bar. And finally, LP5. We kick off with Ultravox and Vienna. Beautiful track. Visage with Fade to Grey, also a banging track. Japan with Quiet Life. Duran Duran with Planet Earth. The Human League with The Sound of the Crowd. Soft Cell with Tainted Love. That had to be it, didn't it? Spandau Ballet with Glow. Heaven 17 with Play to Win. And then side B, we're finishing off with Yellow and The Race, the extended version. Now, I know for a fact that one's like 10 minutes, isn't it? Propaganda with Dr. Mabuse, Peter Schilling with Major Tom, Trio with Da Da Da, I Don't Love You, You Don't Love Me, Aha, Aha, Aha. Okay, and we finish off with Falco with Rock Me Amadeus, the American edit. Funny track, but a good track. So that's another 13, so I believe that takes our grand total today all the way up to 67 tracks across 5 vinyl discs. I'll talk more about my thoughts on the track list in just a moment. It's definitely an interesting mix, but now let's take out each LP and see what it all looks like. Okay, so LP1, this is, I guess, the standard front cover. You've got the word electronic, that sort of grey background again, with some colour. Judging from the silhouette, I think if you put them all together, it'll spell electronic. I do like the LP1 styling at the side, on its side like that. I don't know, I just think that's really cool. And on the back of each of these, you basically will have the track list. Okay, and this is interesting. We've got some facts. So it tells you the chart peak of each of the tracks. It tells you maybe what was ahead of it, maybe if it was at number 2 or something. It tells you where it got to in the US. It gives you some facts about the album it was on. That's really interesting. That's actually really cool. I can't remember if they did that for the 70s box set, but that is actually a really cool feature. I do enjoy that. Do you know what? I'm going to spend some time looking through all this now because I love things like this. So nice that they've gone out of their way to customize it. But that's LP1. Here's LP2, and you can... Oh, yeah, we're going by colour, aren't we? So you can see the electronic is now yellow. Love that LP2 on the side. We've got more letters of it. So yeah, if you put these all side by side, you'll spell electronic. And on the back, as always, yeah, it's just got more information about each track. Really, really cool. So if you like your music history, I definitely recommend spending some time just to have a look at what these say. LP3 then, so electronic is now green. We've got more letters following along there. Gorgeous LP3 on the side. Flip that round, as you can see, more facts. Lovely more facts. A lot of these are obviously 80s tracks from the 1980s. The, I guess, boom of electronic music in the sense of synthesizer use and things like that. We have LP4, so it's now pink. More of the letters following on. LP4 at the side there, and more track listing and information on the back there. Good stuff. And finally, we have LP5, which is blue for the title, finishes off the electronic, and there are all your track listings and information. So, again, that's a big highlight for me. Love seeing the different facts and information about each track. In terms of what the discs look like, I'm not really going to show each one. I'll just show you one because they are all standard. They're all on standard black vinyl discs. They all have the front cover on the little picture in the middle. The only difference is each of the coloured bars is different depending on the LP, and of course what it says. You know, it'll say LP 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. and the side. There's no track list on the disc itself, but I'm personally okay with that. With how big this box set is and the fact the track list is on the box and the individual sleeves, I don't think that's too much of a problem. Okay, so you've seen the nuts and bolts of Now Presents Electronic in terms of what it comes with, what it looks like, how it presents itself. And let's talk about this track list. So the vast majority of these tracks, if not all of them, are from the 1980s. And as I said, that especially the early 80s was sort of the boom of the like new wave genre and synthesizer use. So, you know, groups like the Human League, Soft Cell, Flock of Seagulls, all those guys pioneering that new sound that continued on throughout the rest of the decade. So it makes sense if you're coming at it from that perspective. But again, I will maintain, I wish this had maybe gone with tracks that were further along from the electronic music's history, or maybe a span. So you've got a lot of that stuff from the early 80s, but why not include some stuff from the 90s? Why not include some stuff from the 2000s? I don't know, to limit it to one genre, because a lot of it is 80s. You may as well have done a Now Presents 80s album instead, and you could have had a greater degree of variety. In terms of what I'm familiar with, I'd say a good 3/4 of the tracks on here I at least know by reading them, like I know what they sound like, and I think they're good. As always, I am excited to hear tracks I've either never heard before or I'm not as familiar with. And I think they've straddled the balance well, because I think if you just made an album like this, considering this is limited edition, if you made an album like this with only the big songs, only, you know, the only people everyone knows, then who's going to buy it? Because we've already owned that several times. But to put some tracks on here, I think extended mixes is a good shout, but then they've only really done it on LP1 and LP5, you know, it's not consistent. I mean, had they done a maybe Now Presents the 12-inch 80s album where it's all extended mixes, now that could have been a big draw. It might still come, who knows? But yeah, I think on the whole it's a niche idea, but I think given the limited edition of this and obviously the higher price, you've got to consider whether this is really for you. But I will say presentation-wise, the box it comes in is nice and durable, it's really sturdy. I like the whole presenting, it feels like there's some quality behind it, like some real effort's been placed into it, so I can't really fault it for that. In terms of whether it's for you, please research the track list, deem whether you want to own some of these songs again, deem whether you want to take a plunge on some songs maybe you've never heard of, see if it's worth your time. As I said, it's limited to 1,200 copies, or 1,200, and it currently retails, get ready for this, for £89.99, or a cool £90. Now, obviously these are limited edition, you can sort of see that. It's up to you to decide whether you're, you know, willing to invest into that. Not everyone will, and that's completely valid. All I'll say is, after observing the last box sets, the Presents the 70s one, that seems to have held its value, if not increased, on the second-hand market, whereas most things go down, that one went up. So I'd say if you are certain that you want this one, the Now Presents Electronic, I'd get it sooner rather than later. That's all I'm saying. But on the whole, it's nice to see this series continue, even if we get a release sort of like once a year or twice a year at a push. I'm happy with that, just as long as they keep the genres interesting and as long as they keep the track list varied and exciting, then I think this will be a good addition to the Now series as a whole. But that's all for this installment of the Now Review. Thank you very much for watching. As always, please let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Have you picked this up yourself? Are you one of the 1,200 to grab a copy? Were you dead set on this when they announced it? Or are you passing on it? Is that because of the price? Is that because of the selection? You know, whole manner of reasons. Let me know in those comments. Also, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. It really helps us out. And subscribe to the channel if you're brand new here at AMTV Now. We'd love to have you aboard. I've been Adam Martin from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Kelly is Live, Tracy Smith, Hooks Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, The Welsh Lady, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kitsumanoid, Cooking at Nans and DIY, and Francine Salazar, our AMTV staff members.